Deep in the Appalachian Mountains, there's a stretch of road called Black Hollow Pass. Locals avoid it at night, especially the old wooden bridge near mile marker 13. They call it the Tollkeeper's Bridge, and the stories surrounding it are enough to make even the bravest shudder. According to legend, the bridge demands a toll, but not the kind you can pay with money. Those who don't offer what it wants are never seen again. 17-year-old Eric and his two friends, Mia and Lucas, had heard the tales but didn't believe them. On Halloween night, they decided to drive through the pass for fun, armed with a flashlight, a couple of beers, and their phones for recording proof that nothing would happen. The road to Black Hollow Pass was narrow and winding, with dense trees pressing in on either side. The further they drove, the darker it became, as if the night itself grew heavier. By the time they reached the bridge, a thick mist had rolled in, muffling the sound of their tires on the gravel. The bridge was old and crooked, its planks warped with age and missing in places. The river below was black and silent, reflecting the faint moonlight in jagged ripples. Eric killed the engine, and the three of them stepped out. "See? Just an old bridge," Lucas said, kicking at a loose plank. "No tollkeeper, no ghosts." Mia rolled her eyes. "You're supposed to honk your horn 3 times to summon it." Lucas grinned and leaned on the horn, the blaring sound shattering the stillness of the night. The echo faded into silence. "Nothing's happening," Eric said, his breath visible in the suddenly cold air. "Maybe you're the toll," Mia joked, but her voice faltered as the mist thickened, swirling unnaturally around the bridge. A low, guttural groan rumbled through the air, vibrating the wooden planks beneath their feet. Eric's flashlight flickered, its beam cutting through the mist to reveal something standing at the far end of the bridge. At first, it looked like a man, but as the figure stepped closer, it became clear that it wasn't human. Its limbs were too long, its gait too jerky, like a puppet being dragged by invisible strings. It wore tattered, outdated clothing, a coat hanging in shreds, a top hat tilted at an odd angle. Where its face should have been was only darkness, save for 2 faintly glowing pinpricks of light where its eyes might be. "Turn the car on!" Mia screamed, grabbing Eric's arm, but he was frozen, staring at the figure as it raised one impossibly long arm and pointed at them. "You owe the toll," the figure rasped, its voice like dry leaves scraping against stone. Lucas, always the brave one, took a step forward. "What do you want?" The figure tilted its head, the glowing pinpricks narrowing. "A soul. Yours will do." Before anyone could move, the planks beneath Lucas splintered, and he plunged into the black water below. His scream was swallowed by the river, which churned violently for a moment before going still. "Run!" Eric yelled, dragging Mia back toward the car. The tollkeeper didn't follow, but stood there, its arm still raised, its hollow eyes tracking them as they scrambled inside the vehicle. Eric turned the key, but the engine sputtered and died. The mist coiled tighter around the car, pressing against the windows like a living thing. Mia sobbed as the tollkeeper took another step forward, its long limbs dragging over the wooden planks. "Your toll remains unpaid," it rasped, the words filling the car like a physical weight. Desperate, Eric grabbed the flashlight and swung it toward the figure. The light passed through its body, illuminating nothing but the mist. It didn't stop. With each step, the bridge groaned and creaked, as if the very wood recoiled from its touch. Eric and Mia clutched each other as the figure reached the car. It leaned down, its empty face inches from the windshield. The glowing pinpricks of its eyes burned brighter, and the car began to shake. The radio crackled to life, emitting a horrible, static-laden voice. "Choose who pays." Eric's mind raced. The car doors wouldn't budge, and the windows had begun to frost over. He turned to Mia, his heart sinking. Her eyes were wide with terror, but before he could speak, she whispered, "I'm sorry." She opened her door and ran. The mist swallowed her instantly, and her scream echoed once before being cut short. The car stopped shaking. The mist began to thin, and the tollkeeper straightened, its arm lowering slowly. Eric sat trembling as the engine roared to life on its own. The car began to move, reversing off the bridge without his control. The tollkeeper watched until the car was back on solid ground, then turned and disappeared into the shadows. Eric never spoke of what happened that night. He moved away from the town and tried to forget, but every year on Halloween, he found a note tucked under his windshield wiper. "Your toll remains unpaid." And every year, the mist seemed to creep a little closer.